Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NRRL's Tuesday 50% division. My name is JP. I'm your commentator tonight. Pleasure to be here as always as we take to Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix. This is season 1, round 2, and tonight, for the first time ever, we have a very special guest for our first ever pre-race interview. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my personal friend and driver on track tonight, Harry. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me. Look forward to the race.
100%. Now, I've got 5 questions for you here, Harry. So, obviously, you've had 2 outings in NRRL so far. One of them not going as you would have planned in the Sunday 100% here. That was the championship finale. And then one at
Mhm.
Zandvoort on, I believe that was a Tuesday, that went really well when you were on for a podium until the sort of disconnection glitch came around.
Yeah.
But how does that sort of play into your mind today? You know, knowing that you've been up there in the tier that you're currently in tonight, you've also had that sort of poor race. So you're kind of one for one with a not so great event and a brilliant event. How does that play on your head?
Um, to be honest, I was a bit surprised at Zandvoort to be there. My quali wasn't great, but then to be able to actually defend people, I thought I was gonna have no chance. Like I was in the top 10, I was just waiting to tumble and tumble.
Yeah,
And it actually just gave me a lot of confidence, even though it ended horrible with glitches and whatever. You can't really do anything about that. It still gave me a lot of confidence to where now I can come into this race and think, hang on, I can actually fight for some serious points.
definitely. And I think that is a big confidence booster, you know, having that sort of pre season race where you can get to grips with everyone, understand the drivers that you're up against, and now ultimately going into this Spanish Grand Prix where you know that you can compete up and towards the front. So obviously that honestly leads me into my next questions. Obviously last time out you were in contention for a podium. Are you expecting the same again today?
Um, Probably not. For the truth, Zandvoort suited me a lot better. Spain, I don't have the best experiences with, but at the end of the day, it's still a long race. So if I can get myself into a similar position as Zandvoort from the qualifying, if not better, then you only look forward really. So as long as I get clean start, then it's always forward from there.
Most certainly. And Spain is, you know, it's a good track for overtaking. Qualifying can be important, but it's not the most important thing in the world. And I think, obviously, personally knowing you, I do think that your race pace is much better than your qualifying pace. So I do think you will definitely be a driver to keep an eye on and one to watch throughout the race. Now, obviously, as we take to Catalonia tonight for the Spanish Grand Prix, are you a fan of this circuit? Do you think you'll fare well around this circuit? Is this a sort of track that suits you, or would you rather sort of a slower circuit like a Zandvoort or a Hungaroring?
Um, well, I don't know what suits me. It's like weird. It's very momentum based. So I think tonight I could actually have a good chance. I feel like no matter what track, if I'm on good form, I can have a good chance. So Spain's quite similar. There's like only one real overtaken spot, which was working in Zandvoort, where I can just use the DRS, get them back, and that sort of thing. So if I can use similar tactics, I think it's could be on for a very similar race, just hopefully without the glitch this time.
Most certainly. Now, obviously, tonight being round 2, you missed round 1, you were away on holiday, rejuvenating, bit of off season. But obviously, round 2, it's an eight round season. Do you expect to be in the championship fight, or are you just sort of taking it race by race and seeing where you end up?
Um, well, we had the preseason. I don't quite remember where I finished, to be honest. I think it was okay in terms of pace, considering I don't like Australia. So we'll wait to see tonight because I don't know the pace of everyone else if there's like new drivers and whatever. But um, I'd like to be in there with contention. But whether that's actual fact, I don't know yet.
Most certainly. And obviously, again, knowing you personally, we've league raced together for years. You yourself have improved an absolute ton. What would it mean to you to win a first world championship?
Um, just by myself. it would like be good. You know, you spend a lot of time and even just in one race, never mind committing to a full season. But with you as the commentator, I think we both know it'd be a lot more like meaningful just as a moment as friends, you know what I mean? So if I can pull that off, I think it'll be absolutely amazing.
Completely agreed.
Ugh.
And personally, it would be quite the I don't want to say emotional, but it would be quite a moment to see you cross the line and become world champion, especially if I'm on commentary, giving you your flowers and whatnot. That would be an incredible feeling, not only for yourself, but for me as well. Coming from, I mentioned it on commentary in Zandvoort, coming from your first race where you finished backwards across the line, 4 laps down at the very circuit we go to tonight, to
Yes,
now
that's right.
racing for podiums and race wins and genuinely being up there with a chance. It's crazy to see. But for my last question, who do you think is going to be your main rival throughout the season? You've got people in the league like I Have No Grip, Mikey Boy, Fake Scouser. You might have a couple of reserves that turn up every week or so. Who do you expect to fully be battling?
Um, from Zandvoort, that's the only thing I can really go off. Mikey Boy, I know, is very consistent. So even with that glitch that we both had at the same time, he still finished high up in the points. He was able to keep his head and finish strong. Scaris actually ended up winning that race. So I think definitely between the two of them, and I mean everyone's in there for a chance. Do you know what I mean? The races have been so tight, it's hard to say.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Harry. You've got about 2 minutes to get in the lobby before the action. Best of luck to you tonight, and hopefully you can put on a show for us.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the commentary. I hope to put on a show.
Thank you very much, Harry. Ladies and gentlemen, that was VCarb driver Harry, as you could hopefully see by the graphic, and we will now get ourselves into the lobby prepared for our 50% event tonight. And hopefully, all going well. We'll just load in quickly, get ourselves in. And many drivers turning up tonight. We've got the likes of Mikey Boy, I Have No Grip, Mikey GTI, Meldrum, Sidemen. We have Harry. It's very close, this grid, and it's very close in every division of NRRL. But tonight should be a spectacle nonetheless, and everyone always very, very close to each other. This should be a brilliant Grand Prix and a brilliant qualifying. So let's see what happens, as we've got about a minute or two left to go until we get into the racing action then. And everyone just loads up into the lobby and prepares for this evening's race. I would say between the top, we'll quickly actually go to the standings and whatnot now. So these are the standings. Obviously, this is round 2. We've only had one round so far, round 2 of 8. Currently leading the championship is reserve driver Brad Gibbs. Then followed by Nova Piper. We've got Mikey GTI and Billy Mewis up there. Meloon for Haas. We've got Sidemen in the Ferrari. Hum in the Mercedes. And for the constructors, we've got Haas, McLaren, Alpine, Ferrari, and Mercedes leading the way. This is your calendar then, ladies and gentlemen. We were at Austria last week. Today is Spain. Then next week we go to Mexico. Then Jeddah, Monaco as round 6. Las Vegas, round 7. Belgium is round 8. Then USA, I believe, at Texas for round 9. And for round 10, we head to Imola. But as we load into the lobby now then, it is time for these drivers to set the pace. And let's see how everyone fares. I believe everyone is in the lobby. I'm not sure. I don't think I saw Harry there, but I'm sure he will get in as soon as possible. And always a pleasure to have a interview beforehand. And we will hopefully get a few more drivers in over the coming weeks. And we will see how everyone fares. So we just load into the lobby now then, and we prepare ourselves for tonight's action. And here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, for our 50% qualifying. We'll get all of our telemetry enabled. And here we go then. Who will be the first out of the pits? It doesn't seem like there's any movement in the McLaren or Ferrari garages, or really any of the garages for now, as we turn all the telemetry off and we try to see who's going to be that lucky number one out on track. Everyone just holding station for now. I can hear the engines roaring, and I believe that is an Alpine, potentially of I have no grip. And we'll see. It is an Alpine coming out of the pit lane. A minute into qualifying, only just coming out the pits, and it's Hash who will be the first man on track in the Alpine to take to this Catalunya circuit. I must say that's quite unusual, a minute into qualifying and nobody coming out of the pit lane. Normally we have drivers rushing to get out, but you can see many drivers coming out on track now. Ollie Southall, Andy Price, Billy Mewis is also coming out. We've got I Have No Grip out on track. And it'll be interesting to see how these drivers get along in the heat of Catalunya, as Hash now just coming through the final sector of his outlap, keeping those tyres nice and warm. A very quick outlap, I must say, from the Alpine driver. I personally, when I race, like quite a slow outlap, but it seems he likes quite a quick one, as he now comes around the final corner to begin his first flying lap of the session. And inevitably, if no invalidation, he will find himself at the top of the timesheets. Hash, a driver we've not really mentioned too much in the commentary box. He's normally in and around the mid-pack, is the Alpine driver. But some decent performances, especially when it comes to overtaking. Through the first sector he comes now. And towards the infamous Verstappen and Russell corner. Keeps it tight and neat on the exit and towards potentially one of the hardest corners on the Formula 1 calendar. Keeps it well away from the sausage curb. That's exactly where you want to be. Truly flat, through there. And the middle sector split of 51-2 for the Alpine driver. Like I say, he will be the first man to set a lap, as he now comes through the final sector, meets the curb nicely, and then it's pretty much flat all the way through here, completely flat in fact through here, and to the line he comes now then. The Alpine driver with a 13.1 goes to the top of the timesheets. Our next driver, I believe, will be I Have No Grip, or there might be a Red Bull ahead of him. There is Meldrum. I believe it might be Andy Price then, who will be coming to the line first. Or it is, no, Billy Mewis. Sorry, coming to the line. I believe he finished third in last week's race. Coming around the final corner and to the line now. And McLaren driver goes to provisional pole with a 1:12.9. Hash's Alpine teammate now coming across the line as Andy J. Price went into second, now third with a 1:13.1, as I Have No Grip onto provisional pole position with a 12.7. Mikey, 0.3 off a pole. You don't see that often. A 13 flat for the Sauber driver. And that is quite unexpected. You never see Mikey far off pole position. Durex is now coming round the final couple of corners to set his first flying lap, and Williams' first flying lap of the event. Comes across the line, goes into 7th with a 13.5. We now have MCL coming to the final corner. Mikey's Sauber teammate comes across the line and goes to provisional pole with a 1 minute 12.6. Matt Connor now comes to the line, goes into P3 with a 1 minute 12.9. Meldrum is now coming through the final couple of corners, but the times are tumbling very early on in qualifying. And MCL, who has never taken pole position or won a race in NRRL thus far, goes to provisional pole as Meldrum, maybe a mistake on that lap. A 14 flat for the Red Bull driver. Next driver to set a lap will be Melun in the Haas. We have seen a few invalidations over the course of this session so far. The Haas livery, absolutely beautiful, isn't it? As he now comes towards the middle sector and looks to state himself towards the top of the timesheets. It's a 51.3, and that's a big snap there for the Haas driver, and that will compound him time. So the Haas now comes through the penultimate corner, now through the final corner. A big lift off there, where some drivers were going flat, and the Haas driver comes across the line, goes P5 with a 1 minute 12.9. That's a decent lap from the Haas driver. We now have Hum Mikey on a lap. Hum will be the first to come across the line. He's just coming through the middle sector now. To the end of it he comes, and it is a 51-1 middle sector split for the Mercedes man. As Mercedes look to try and return to the top of the standings here in Catalonia. Many times the Mercedes outfit has won around here, and the Brackley boys know exactly what they're doing. Hum for Mercedes goes P7 with a 13 flat, just mere milliseconds off of Mikey boy. Mikey GTI is now coming through the middle sector. It's a 51.0 for him, so he's looking to trouble around P4, P5, I reckon. Very close between third all the way down realistically to 7th. As I believe Mikey boy just improved there, goes up to third. Now demoted to 4th as Mikey GTI goes to 2nd with a 12.6 and is just barely off of pole. Jamsey on the intermediate tyres is going to complete a lap, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I would imagine nowhere near pole position for Jamsey. Goes into P14 with a 1 minute 17.6. That is exactly about what you would imagine on the intermediates. We now have Sidemen, who I believe took a podium last week in Austria, now coming round the final corner, and Sidemen to the line goes P15 with a 1 minute 4.1. Next driver to take to the line will be Astro, one of two drivers to have not set a lap thus far in this session. The Aston Martin driver coming round the final corner now, keeps his foot well in it, and to the line he comes now, and the Aston Martin driver up to 13th with a 1 minute 13.6. We now look to Ollie Southall. That's not a great sector 2 split, so he has a lot of work to do in the final sector if he is to get a good lap time. Is now through the final corner he comes, overtake enabled, a little bit of a lift off on the entry, not really troubling the exit curb was the Williams, goes to P14 with a 1 minute 13.7. Now I believe we have Mikey GTI on another lap on these tyres. Mikey boy, his Mikey counterpart, did a 12.7 on 2 lap old soft, sorry. Mikey GTI is near enough a 10th up on his previous lap as he comes through sector 2 now then, and it is remaining stable for the Haas driver, which is quite surprising around such a heat dependent circuit as well. The internal temperatures of those tyres can fly up very quickly, and he is about 2/10 up is the Haas driver, so as long as those tyres can hold on through the final sector, he could be on for provisional pole position. 9 minutes left to go in this qualifying session, and the Haas is pushing hard. To the final corner he comes now. It looks tight and neat. Is it quick? He comes to the line, and it is an improvement. He lost time in the final sector, but it was enough to take provisional pole, and on the used tyres, working very well here in sunny Spain. Matt Connor is now going to be the next to set a flying lap. He will get a little bit of dirty air from the Red Bull in front of him. I believe that is Andy Price. We've got the Alpine diving out of the way there. That was Hash. And now as we see Matt Connor, he is going to come into the pits. And he's into the pit wall, is Matt Connor. Loses the front wing. He is very lucky to not be out of the session with a collision like that. And he has been given an absolute lifeline as the Ferrari driver slamming into the pit wall at high speed. Billy Mewis is on a lap. He's currently about half a tenth down. He's now coming through the middle sector. In the McLaren, Mikey GTI is out on another lap, I believe. 12-minute 5 for him at the minute. Billy now about 2.5 tenths up and is improving. And this would promote him, I believe, up to P4 if he can continue the pace on this lap. But then it's not, it's only 16 milliseconds to P3. So this could be a big improvement for the McLaren driver as he comes to the line now. Does go into P3 with a 1 minute 12.6. And this fight for pole is getting very, very close. Meloon is currently on a lap. His Haas teammate currently on provisional pole. We had a yellow flag. I believe that was for the Mercedes of Hum. And that is a big moment there for Meloon, spinning on the curb. I believe he may have touched the sausage curb and no grip out there. These ground effect cars require you to be so close to the ground. And the second your car is not close to the ground, you will lose grip. And Meloon, that is exactly what's happened to him. Good save from him to try and keep it on track. And he has done well there. I have no grip is now going on to a lap. Currently placed in P4 for Alpine. Goes past his Alpine teammate who was just coming out of the pit lane. For I have no grip. This could be an important lap as Hum goes up to P3 with a 1 minute 12.6. And this fight for pole just gets closer and closer and closer. And I have no grip now coming through the second sector in the Alpine. I believe he was up on his previous lap. So could we have another driver firmly inserted into the pole position picture? You've then got to look to the likes of Mikey Boy, who is just going onto his lap now. 1.5 up is I have no grip, and that would potentially put him on provisional pole position. It is so, so close between all of these drivers. Our Jamsey goes up to 7th as the Alpine now comes around the final corner. 5.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. I have no grip goes to provisional pole. A lightning final sector. Beautiful stuff from the Alpine driver. And that will take a big response from anybody on the grid to try and improve on that. Beautiful lap from the Alpine. And with 5 minutes left to go in this session, he finds himself on provisional pole. And it sounds like everyone has had a shot at provisional pole tonight. And this is going to be a very, very close final 5 minutes. Mikey is just down on his lap, so really needs a good final sector if he wants to improve. He's got tons of battery to use. Doesn't seem like he wants to use it, though. So that's quite interesting. Uses it out of the final corner. Gets a little bit of a tow. Goes up to P2. Very good final sector from the Sauber driver. Getting a tow from his teammate, in fact. And goes up into second. I have no grip is on his in-lap. MCL is also on an in-lap, I believe. Currently sat P4. The two Saubers riding in formation. Hash is just coming around the final corner. Currently finds himself in P12. Looking to improve on that. Does improve. Goes up to P11 with a 13 flat. A millisecond off of a pure 13 flat. We've then got Astro, who's on a lap. Not much battery left in that Aston Martin. He's a 10th down, is the Aston Martin driver. Looking to improve on P14. We've then got Ligers, who's on a lap and backs out of it to let the Aston Martin past. And the Aston has invalidated anyway, so he will not improve. Ligers comes into the pit lane. And I don't believe anyone is on a lap for now. I do wonder if Mikey will be going again. He is not, and both Saubers come into the pit lane then. Hash is not on a lap. Astro is not on a lap. So we'll follow Meldrum in the Red Bull, the only man on a lap so far. So he's got the track to himself in terms of hot laps. And we will quickly invite Harry in. Sorry if you've been waiting a while, Harry. Get you in now. I do believe you might have time to set one lap, Harry, if you get in quickly. You should have time to whack a setup on and come out and do a lap, I believe. So, hopefully, without any invalidations or crashes, you will be setting a lap time. Meldrum, currently in P17, looking to improve for Red Bull, who have had massive success around this circuit in recent years. Meldrum is about 4/10 up, and that would promote him to, I believe, P14. Harry is now in the lobby and will have enough time to get a lap. That's good to see. 19 drivers now with us. As Meldrum comes around the final corner, sticks on the overtake. Is it going to be an improvement for the Red Bull? It is, and does go up to P14. Good lap from the Red Bull. Mikey GTI in the hunt for pole position is on his lap, and we will go on board with the Haas driver. Needs about a 10.5 improvement to put himself on provisional pole, and the Haas driver does exactly that. A 1 minute 12.3 from Mikey GTI, and he finds himself on provisional pole position. Billy Mewis on a lap now, as is Hum. And this fight for pole now boils down to a single lap between all of these drivers. Hum coming through the middle sector now. Billy Mewis coming through the first sector. We'll look at the split for Hum. And he is 400ths down on his lap. So he will need a lightning quick final sector to try and improve on his position. And he's invalidated. So he will have to back out of it. And he's coming into the pit lane. And that will be the Mercedes driver. His qualifying session is over. Billy Mewis is now coming through the final sector. And he will look to improve in the hunt for pole position. Currently in 6th. He's about 3/10 off of pole position. To the final corner. The McLaren comes now. And to the line he goes. Billy Mewis does not improve. So is that one driver in the hunt for pole out of it? We've got Mikey GTI, who is going for another lap on the used tyres. Mikey boy is coming around the final corner to set his lap, as is MCL. I have no grip, still in the pits. He will not compete for another chance at pole position. We've got R. Jamsey, who is also on a lap. Matt Connor, who is also on a lap and is about half a tenth up. Andy Price goes into P3 with a 1 minute 12.5. Mr. Jabe now goes into P3 with a 1 minute 12.5. Mikey, we join him on board through Sector 1. He's about a 10.5 up. MCL is right behind his teammate. Yellow flags flying for, I believe, the Williams. But we will stay on board with Mikey. Or no, we won't actually. We'll go to Mikey GTI as he will be the next driver to settle up as we come to the split now. 32 hundredths down. This fight for pole is absolutely incredible and is boiling down to the final lap. And that's a big snap. Or I believe I'm lagging maybe. Although that did look like a big snap. And it is Mikey GTI in the wall. So now Mikey will follow that as we've got another Williams into the gravel. There's a Williams stop there. Mikey boy sees his title rival and his contender for pole position in the barriers. Can he improve? He goes up to P3. MCL stays P6. Andy Price will not set a lap. And that is your qualifying over with. Ollie Southall will set a lap but has invalidated. And that is your session then. It is Mikey GTI on pole position from I Have No Grip. Mikey boy in 3rd. Mr. Jabe 4th. And Andy Price 5th. With 2 very good last gasp laps. We've then got MCL in 6th. Jamsey 7th. Matt Connor 8th. Meloon 9th. Hum 10th. Billy Mewis in 11th. Durex 12th. Hash 13th. Harry 14th after only setting 1 lap the entire session. We've then got Meldrum 15th, Astro 16th, Sidemen 17th, Ollie Southall 18th, and Ligers 19th and last. But what a qualifying session that was. And if that's a precursor for the race, bring it on. What a session. Absolutely brilliant stuff from these drivers. Now I am quickly going to turn this to the... Ladies and gentlemen, I will take you over to the results once more. We looked at these before the session, but we looked at them now. Reserve driver Brad Gibbs was the man that won last time out. It was Nova Piper in second, Mikey GTI in third, and Mikey GTI, the man on pole position, only a reserve driver. So that could be interesting. Billy Mewis is in fourth, Meloon fifth. This is a track that you can overtake at. And I expect people like Harry, like Meldrum, will be looking to make their way through the grid. So I'm just loading back into the game now, ladies and gentlemen. And we will get ourselves back in the session, ready for lights out.
Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. Championship wasn't won today, mate, but it was won through a season of solid work.
Here we are then. We'll see if we can get an invite back to the session quickly. Harry, I don't suppose you're watching and could invite us potentially? We just await getting in the session now then. There we are. We shall get ourselves back in and ready for lights out. Make sure we mute everyone this time when we get in. And there we are. We will get ourselves in now then. Hopefully we haven't missed the start. There is normally a 5-minute wait, so should be all good. As long as everyone has abided by the rules. And it seems we have not abided by the rules because we are racing. But on to lap 2 we go, ladies and gentlemen. Mikey GTI still in the lead. It's Mikey Boy in second. Andy Price in third. Matt Connor fourth. Harry already up 7 positions into 7th. Dinosaur up 8 positions into 8th. We've got Ollie Southall up 6 positions. Now let's get settled into the race, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Harry battling away with Dinosaur. He's trying to gain on Meloon for 6th. Mr. Jabe, the only driver in the top 9 to have lost a position. We've then got MCL and Jamsey who are into the pit lane to change their front wings. That must have been contact down at the start. We've also got Hash who's running quite a way back and big damage to the front wing of that Alpine. And off the track he goes through one of the Tag Heuer boards. And a yellow flag is deployed. Big damage on the front of that Alpine as he runs very wide once more. But going through the final sector, we can see the possible race strategies. That it is a two-stop race, this one then. Soft, soft, medium, or soft, soft, hard. However, many drivers already running the medium tyres, and Mikey is gaining on Mikey. And towards turn 1 we go then. Mikey Boy displaces Mikey GTI, and up into the lead of the race he goes. Meloon manages to get past Mr. Jabe. Harry on the soft compound tyres, looking to gain on that battle. Those tyres will stay fresh for a good few laps. But that almost does confirm that Harry is two-stopping. Same with Andy Price. Through the middle sector we go, and the two Mikeys giving it absolutely everything. It is then Andy, Matt Connor, Meloon, who's about a second and a half off of the top 4. Then Mr. Jabe, Harry following very close to the back of that Aston Martin. Meldrum is the first man to pick up a penalty. Hash is into the pits to change that front wing. We've got Dinosaur in 8th, Billy Mewis 9th. I Have No Grip in 10th, Meldrum 11th. Towards the leaders we go again as we watch the two Mikeys fighting it out. Onto lap 4 of 33 we go, and the Haas is gaining on the Sauber. Towards turn 1, is he going to be able to gain enough to try and make a move? Doesn't look like he's really going for it, and into turn 1 all is well. Billy Mewis manages to get past Dinosaur and up into 8th, and on the hard compound tyres he will be one to watch, and Harry will be looking in his rear view mirrors, absolutely grimacing as he realises he's on the soft, Billy's on the hard, and it will be very hard to defend from him once we get into the stage of the race where the softs just slightly begin to degrade. Mr. Jabe is in 6th, so we see a nice on-board shot here of him chasing down Meloon. That is the battle for 5th place, 1.8 seconds. The gap between the Aston Martin and the Haas driver. Andy Price just falling a bit off the back of the top 2. He does still have DRS to try and lure himself in. Matt Connor very close to the back of the Red Bull driver. And going a bit wide there was Andy. And that will give Matt Connor impotence to try and get past. As through the penultimate corner we go now, on board with the Ferrari is the Haas. Going to be close enough to make a move. Mikey absolutely draining that battery down. Mikey GTI does not seem very interested in making a move, and will sit behind. Matt Connor manages to get past Andy. Harry going round the outside of Mr. J. This would be a lovely move if he can pull this off, and a good move there from the V-car. But now to turn 3 we go, and they are still wheel to wheel. Billy Mewis right on the back of this battle, and Harry has made his way through. Great move from the V-carb driver up into 6th position. Now we have Billy Mewis up the inside of the Aston Martin and maybe pulling to the inside of the V-carb. He doesn't, but manages to get past Mr. Jabe. And Mr. Jabe losing 2 positions in a matter of corners. As I was mentioning, Matt Connor managed to get past Andy Price. And immediately Matt Connor has fallen off that battle for the top 2. We've got a yellow flag at the back. I believe that was for Meldrum, who may have had a trip off the track. And here's Billy Mewis on the inside of Harry. Nothing Harry could really do to fight that. Although he does go for the switch back up the inside. Big contact between the two drivers, and even more contact as Harry tries to stick it around the outside. Nothing doing for the V-carb driver, but he will be very close and will have the DRS as Andy Price comes into the pits already on lap 6. And that's a lot of understeer there for Harry. Goes onto the gravel, and Mr. Jabe is now attacking the V-carb. Harry is fighting back, and they are both gaining on the McLaren. We're 3 wide into turn 1, and Harry, a lovely darting move through the middle of them, manages to make his way back up into 5th place. Beautiful move from the V-carb driver, driving with absolute perfection. And we spoke to the man before the race, and he said he was quietly confident and fancied his chances potentially even at a podium tonight. Well, he's got a bit of time and strategy to try and get towards the top 4 and the top 3. But the V-carb driver immediately showing his aggression and his will to do well in this league. Mr. Jabe is in 6th. He's defending from Billy Mewis. We've then got I Have No Grip on the back of that battle. Dinosaur also involved in that battle. A 5-way battle for P5 there as Hash picks up a penalty. Jamsey manages to get his way past MCL. But out in front, Mikey Boy continues to lead from Mikey GTI. And Mikey GTI might be going for it this lap. He is draining the overtake button. Doesn't look like he's gaining enough though. Mikey Boy is draining that battery and manages to stay ahead for the time being. Matt Connor is in third place in a bit of no man's land right now. 2.2 second gap out in front. 1.8 second gap behind him to Meloon. Harry managing to hold on to that 5th place. It's Mr. Jabe who is in 6th. Billy Mewis in 7th. I Have No Grip 8th. Dinosaur in 9th, bringing up the back of that battle. We've then got Durex in 10th. Hum in 11th. Ollie Southall 12th. Sidemen 13th. Ligers 14th. With Andy Price in 15th. Jamsey in 16th. And we see Hum managing to get his way through on Durex and up into 10th for points paying positions. We've then got MCL 17th, Meldrum 18th and Hash 19th. Mikey Boy just continuing to lead, and the gap is ever losing time as Mr. J potentially looking for a move on Harry. Nothing doing for the Aston Martin driver thus far. And Harry with stark defence of that 5th place, and this is the main battle we've got going on at the minute. A 5-car battle for P5, and Harry draining the overtake as we go towards turn 1. Mr. Jabe draining the overtake with the DRS, gaining towards the back of the VCARB, switches to the inside. The McLaren of Billy Mewis is also gaining on this battle. Harry forced to the outside. Mr. Jabe gets through. Now he's got to defend from the McLaren. It is Mr. Jabe that moves himself up into 5th place. Harry falls to 6th. Billy Mewis still in 7th, right on the back of the VCARB driver. Just pulling out of the dirty air there. Maybe having a sniff up the inside, but nothing doing for the McLaren driver. Mr. Jabe managing to make his way through, and I would imagine those soft tyres on the VCARB of Harry starting to feel a little bit worse for wear. And the VCARB pit crew probably just anticipating his arrival in the pit lane. Although they do still look okay as we go on board with the VCARB man. They don't look too battered. I'm just going to stay on board with him and see if we can see the pit symbol pop up on his telemetry to let us know if he is coming into the pits. The tyres do look okay for now though. He's got a lot of battery, has Harry, and he does come in to the pit lane. So the VCARB driver kisses the pit wall on the entry. Into the pits he comes, and that will release Billy Mewis behind him to chase after Mr. J. But as an I Have No Grip, Dinosaur and Hum behind that battle. Then Durex with his Williams teammate. These two always seem to be together, Durex and Ollie Southall. The Williams drivers very closely matched. Harry is going to emerge in 15th place. And really the first main stopper. We had Andy Price stop, but that was very early on. I believe laps 5 or lap 6. The Red Bull driver came into the pits. Harry emerges, like I say, in P15 on the medium compound tyres. And you would imagine it's a soft medium strategy for the VCARB. Out in front, Mikey GTI managed to get past Mikey Boy once more, up into the lead of this race. Now the thing is about these races, if you are new to NRRL, first of all, welcome. Thank you very much for watching as we see Mikey Boy dive into the pit lane. The thing about NRRL is it doesn't matter how close it is for 32 laps. It matters who's in the lead on the final lap. Because there are constantly battles up and down this field, no matter where you look. There are always drivers battling. There are always drivers looking to gain more positions. As we see Billy Mewis getting past Mr. Jabe up into P4. There's always something going on in this league. And, you know, we could say Mikey GTI is leading right now. He's overcutting F1 Mikey Boy. Probably likely favourite to take the win. But you just never know what's going to happen as Harry has successfully undercut the Aston Martin of Dinosaur by quite a way. So the undercut looks very powerful. Harry almost using himself as a guinea pig for us, to be completely honest. The only outliers will be the likes of Billy Mewis, Ollie Southall, and Sidemen. And that is a big spin there for Mr. Jabe, and into the wall goes the Aston Martin driver. Manages to keep the engine running and gets himself going once more, but I couldn't see there if he just tagged the gravel or if that was just a spin. He looks to try and hold it round the outside of Andy Price, but with the damage to that Aston Martin, you can see it there. Big damage on the Aston Martin front wing, and he will never be able to fight that, and you would imagine he will come into the pit lane. Durex comes into the pit lane, and Mr. Jabe is now diving into the pits. Harry will inevitably undercut him as well. Same with Durex. Andy Price continues on in 10th, and Harry, I'm interested in this gap here. 5 seconds is the gap between Harry and Andy Price, and it is coming down ever more as we see Mikey Boy has emerged in 9th. We've then got Sidemen in 8th, Ollie in 7th, Hum 6th. Our Jamsey picks up a 3-second time penalty. And we haven't really got anything too close going on. We've got Sidemen versus Ollie Southall. That's our closest battle on track at the minute. A Ferrari driver looking to reel in the Williams. Both been on these tyres for 10 laps. And while Sideman does have a penalty, that won't affect him till the end of this Grand Prix. His Ferrari teammate Matt Connor coming into the pit lane, and this is important for Harry, although Matt Connor gets a 10-second time penalty. Meloon also comes into the pits, and I say this is important for Harry because he's looking to undercut those sort of top 3, top 4. The Ferrari driver coming out of the pit lane now, you would imagine, should be well clear of Harry as he comes around the final corner. But a 10-second penalty for the Ferrari, that will not do him well. Andy Price is coming down the main straight, just manages to get out ahead, does the Ferrari, but the warmer tyres for Andy will be helping him on the first sort of half of this lap. Harry has Meloon just in front of him. Mikey manages to get past Sidemen. Sidemen is giving it everything to try and fight back with the Sauber though, and there is a little bit of contact between them. And it looks like the Sauber of Mikey has managed to make his way through and up into 5th position. Sidemen did eventually manage to get himself past Ollie Southall. We've got I Have No Grip, who's just teetering on the edge of being in the DRS of Billy Mewis, but those tyres will be a little bit worse for wear now for I Have No Grip as Mikey GTI continues on for another lap. We now look to the likes of I Have No Grip, who also stays out. Hum dives into the pit lane to make his stop. We've then got Sidemen, who is also on the hard compound tyres, going to jump into the pit lane. Harry right on the back of Meloon and is looking to gain on the Haas driver. Draining the overtake is the V-Carb. Is he going to get anywhere near close enough? Doesn't look like it, and Harry will be stuck behind the Haas for at least a lap longer, you would imagine. Dinosaur gets out ahead of Sidemen. And I believe that was Hum who has just come into the pits for the soft compound tyres. Interesting choice there. And it'll be interesting to see when the likes of Mikey GTI and Billy Mewis pit. I do wonder if Mikey GTI may be going for a one-stop here, the medium to hard strategy. The tyres don't look too beat up from Mikey GTI, and he is going to stay out for another lap. Looks like he's just nursing those tyres, and the gap is coming down a little bit between himself and Billy, who stays out for another lap, as does I Have No Grip. Mikey obviously gaining on those with the fresher rubber. You've then got Ollie Southall in 5th, who is not pitted yet. Matt Connor is then just ahead of Andy Price, who is just ahead of Meloon, who is just ahead of Harry. So a 4-car battle here, all in DRS. And Matt Connor draining that overtake to try and stay ahead of Andy Price. Andy not close enough. Harry not close enough to the back of Meloon. I have no grip. It seems in the faster stuff, I have no grip is just able to reel in Billy a bit. But then as soon as we get to the slower, more technical corners, the grip difference really does show itself. 8.7 seconds the gap between Mikey and Billy. And you would have to assume that Mikey will be into the pits surely at the end of this lap. We have Mr. Jabe, who has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And we will quickly look to the penalties now. 3 seconds for Ollie Southall, Dinosaur, Sidemen, Mr. Jabe, Jamsey, and Hash. We then have 10 seconds for Matt Connor and 12 seconds for Meldrum. In terms of pit stops, Mikey GTI, Billy Mewis, I have no grip, who has just come into the pit lane, and Ollie Southall are yet to make a stop. Mikey Boy quite easily gets past I have no grip, who peels into his pit box now. And crucially for Harry, has undercut, and even the likes of Andy Price, who is still looking for a move on the Ferrari of Matt Connor, doesn't manage to make it. And Dan Lovett with the gifted subscription. Get in there, Dan, my friend. Lovely stuff from you. Supporting, as always, this brilliant Tuesday 50% action. Hope you are enjoying, my friend. Thank you very much for the gifted sub. Always lurking in the chat is Dan, if he is not one of our incredibly consistent drivers. And we expect Dan will be back very soon. Mikey with a little bit of a snap there on the exit, and is now coming into the pit lane finally after 14 laps on the mediums. So Mikey will inevitably take the lead of this Grand Prix. Billy Mewis coming into the pits as well. So Mikey Boy will take the lead, but it will be a 6-lap difference in tyres between the Sauber and the Haas. Haas stops on his marks, puts on the hard compound tyres, and I would have to imagine that might be till the end of this race. Mikey GTI also loses the position to Matt Connor and Andy Price, and this could really compound his issues because he has lost a lot of position. Harry isn't able to get past him, but on the warmer tyres, could Harry try and make a challenge on the net race leader? A little bit of dirty air for him, and you would imagine that's the way it will stay for the time being. Mikey GTI now has 4 cars to overtake. Consistently bad at the moment. Never, Dan. Never. You've had bad luck, mate. Plus, you need to stop getting podiums when I'm not here. It's absolutely outrageous. I've been waiting months to commentate on you getting a podium or a win. And every time I'm away, you bleeding do it. Harry is looking to gain on the net race leader. And we've got another gifted sub, I believe. Oh no, we've got a hype train starting. I couldn't tell you what a hype train is. I will be completely honest. I'm quite new to Twitch myself. I believe it's something to do with subbing or gifting subs or something like that. It's lasting for 4 minutes 40, so get yourselves in if you are interested. I would like to say Twitch are running a little bit of a promotional program for the entirety of September. Only a couple of days left. Running a program called Subtember, so up to 35% off of subscriptions on Twitch. So if you are enjoying the racing action that you are watching here tonight from our Tuesday Division drivers putting on an absolute clinic for us tonight, do consider dropping a subscription down below. All these drivers absolutely giving it everything here in the heat of Catalonia. Andy Price is really beginning to gain on Meloon. And I must say that is a little bit of a surprise considering the tyre age difference. Mikey Boy is the man who currently leads from Matt Connor. Matt Connor, obviously, with that 10-second penalty, you would imagine will not be one-stopping and will serve that at his next pit stop. Hum manages to get past Ollie Southall, and my controller is disconnected, conveniently enough. I think this probably happens at least once every event, so my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We will get that bad boy plugged in and bring you back to the racing action. And the strategy, ever important in a race like the Spanish Grand Prix, but Mikey going for quite the wacky strategy. I mean, we can look to the gap to leader. I'm looking at the completely wrong thing. I do apologise. He's got 10 seconds to Mikey. Meldrum has come into the pits and retired from the session. And that will be the Red Bull drivers race over. Our first retiree of the session on lap 18 of 33. But 10-second gap to Mikey. That's not going to be an easy feat to try and overcome. Now, you would imagine our leader, F1 Mikey Boy, will come back into the pit lane. But I'm struggling to see how this race is going to turn out. We've then got Harry in 6th, who's on the mediums. We know he will be pitting again. Same with Hum on the soft compound tyres, will be pitting again. Andy Price, you would hope for the sake of Red Bull, will be pitting again. Mikey is gaining on Andy Price, and well before the corner even comes up. A very, very long straight here around this circuit. And Mikey makes it a Haas 3-4, moving himself up into 4th position. And Harry and Ollie Southall come into the pits once more for the hard compound tyres to take them to the end of the race. Although Ollie Southall taking off the hard compound tyres, putting on the mediums. Where will Harry emerge? Comes out now 33 seconds off the lead. Just ahead of his teammate. And we will look now. Fastest lap goes to Matt Connor. Interestingly enough, about 6/10 clear of Mikey GTI. 2/10 clear of F1 Mikey Boy. So Matt Connor, great pace from the Ferrari driver. Just unfortunate that 10-second penalty will compound his issues, as we now are going to move on to lap 20 of 33. And the Haas driver of Meloon is looking to gain on Matt Connor. This is the battle for second. It looks to be an easy move for the Haas driver, both Ferrari powered. And Billy Mewis sets the fastest lap of the race as Meloon makes his way up into 2nd place. And Mikey GTI will look to follow his Haas teammate through, you would imagine, in a lap or so, and get past the Ferrari driver back up into the podium places. It is then Andy Price who is in 5th and looking to gain on the net race leader. 14 laps Andy has done on those tyres. We've then got Billy Mewis in 6th on the mediums. I Have No Grip 7th on the hards. Dinosaur and Sidemen battling away on the medium compound tyres. It's then Durex who is in 10th on the hards. Harry comes out in 11th. Hum is in 12th. And it'll be an interesting end to this race to see where everyone shakes out at. We're going to quickly look to the gap to leader again, and it's now around 8 seconds. So Mikey GTI isn't gaining at an incredible rate of knots. Matt Connor comes into the pits and will inevitably serve that 10-second penalty. The DRS will help Mikey GTI try and gain towards our race leader, and look how long this is going to take. 10 seconds, it feels like an eternity when you're waiting in the pit lane, and Matt Connor will be screaming in that helmet as the Ferrari mechanics finally get to work on that car to put on the soft compound tyres to go to the end. And that's a very big call there. Harry does go through on the Ferrari driver, and you would imagine everyone else will have to pit again in front of Harry. I mean, maybe I Have No Grip will be able to stay out. Billy Mewis, potentially. Mikey GTI, you would imagine that's what he's going for, and obviously can make tyres last. He is now gaining on his Haas teammate for 2nd place, and you would imagine maybe some team orders going on down at Haas to let Mikey GTI through, to try and gain on his Mikey counterpart as Mikey Boy comes into the pit lane. So that will leave us with Meloon in the lead of this race, and a big, big snap there for Mikey GTI, who is looking to gain on his teammate and is gaining on his teammate. To the inside he goes. And Mikey GTI retakes the lead. Now, what tyres does Mikey Boy go on to? It's another set of the hard compound tyres. I'm surprised that isn't mediums, I must say. But Mikey Boy, now with it all to do, if he wants to win, and we've got a virtual safety car deployed, as we've got sidemen into the pit lane as well. Durex and Harry stay out. And I do wonder what that VSC has been called for. I didn't see anyone go round. A lot of drivers using that as an advantage to come into the pit lane. And that is good timing for Mikey GTI, who must have managed to get past his teammate just as the VSC was called. Andy Price, about 2 seconds, 3 seconds should I say, off this battle for the lead. Now I will wonder if Mikey GTI might keep Meloon in the DRS, as Ligers gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. I wonder if Mikey might keep Meloon in the DRS just to have a rear gunner in this fight, because we know Mikey Boy, he's got about 10 laps to try and make his way back through. Andy Price now comes into the pit lane, and it'll be interesting to see where he emerges. I have no grip will overtake him. Mikey Boy will overtake him. It was about a 13-second gap to Harry. And that is a three-way battle there for 7th place. Andy coming to the end of the pit lane now. Harry just coming across the line. Is he going to get out ahead of the Red Bull? This is going to be very close as we go into turn 1. The V-Carb draining battery. Sister team versus main team. Harry does go through on Andy Price, who is on the mediums, and Hum is also looking to get his way through around the outside of turn 3. This would be a lovely move from the Mercedes driver. They are still wheel to wheel as we head towards turn 4. Round the outside goes the Mercedes. Down the inside goes the Red Bull. Who has the better grip? They are still wheel to wheel, and this is a brilliant battle between two long-time foes, Mercedes and Red Bull, and they are still wheel to wheel as we come out of turn 5. Beautiful battling between the pair of them, and somehow it looks like Andy Price, yes, has made his way through. A brilliant battle from two old rivals, Mercedes versus Red Bull, and the Red Bull wins out. Brilliant action on lap 24 of 33 of this Grand Prix. Beautiful driving from the pair of them, never close to contact. Incredible racing. Harry has managed to gain a little bit away from that battle. I believe Andy is in the DRS. He is 14 seconds off of Mikey Boy as Matt Connor sets the fastest lap of the race. On the soft compound tyres, Mikey has about 1.7 seconds to gain. Andy manages to get straight back past Harry and up into 6th place. Harry will look to fight that back. But the newer tyres for Andy, you would imagine, will be benefiting him. Mikey in 5th, 1.2 seconds off of I Have No Grip. And the gap now to the leader for Mikey, 9.2 seconds. 6 laps difference in those tyres, and Meloon is sticking to the back of, well, I was going to say he was sticking nicely to the back of his teammate, but a little bit of a mistake there has cost him the DRS to his teammate. Hash sets the fastest lap of the race on the medium compound tyres, a 1:14.8, as Hum manages to get his way past Harry up into 7th. Harry is going to look to fight this round the outside and does manage to get the position back, but was that the smartest thing to do? As now with the DRS, the Mercedes will have a great chance of trying to get past. We've got a yellow flag. I believe that's for a Williams driver. Andy Price sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:14.7. And the Mercedes of Hum manages to get back through on Harry and up into 7th position. Mikey has managed to get past I Have No Grip and up into 4th. His next fight will be Billy Mewis, who's right on the back of Meloon. And this is going to harm Mikey, not having any DRS, and the drivers ahead of him well within having DRS on each other, and this will harm his efforts to try and gain 8 laps to go of this Grand Prix. And Billy just struggling a little bit there. A few pokes at the steering to try and get it turned in the dirty air of the Haas of Melun. As we move on to lap 26 of 33. And the McLaren is gaining on the Haas. And a very long straight and a typical pass for the Spanish Grand Prix. Mikey Boy sets the fastest lap of the race as Billy Mewis gets himself up into second place on the medium compound tyres. The question is, will those tyres manage to stay alive? Melun in third. Mikey Boy is gaining about a second a lap on that battle, and they're only 2 seconds off of Mikey GTI. So this race far from over yet. Hum has picked up a penalty in his fight with Harry, and Harry looking to the inside, and this would be a lovely move if Harry could execute the switchback. Doesn't manage to get it. Runs a wheel onto the grass for good measure. Matt Connor on the soft compound tyres is right on the back of this and will ride on board with the Ferraris. Harry looks to the inside, gets a little bit more grass on his tyres, a little bit of contact between the V-Carb and the Mercedes. And Matt Connor is looking to pounce in this battle for 7th position. And you would imagine the softs will start to feel the effects of that wear as we get later and later on in this race. But for now, they seem to be serving him well. Lap 27 we are on at the moment. And Mikey Boy, look at the gap coming down. Melun manages to get his way back through on Billy Mewis and up into second place. But Mikey Boy is bringing that gap down very, very quickly. I think it is about a second a lap, maybe quicker. So Mikey is gaining. And we'll look at the gap to leader. Now 6.3 seconds. We'll check back in a lap's time. 6.3 seconds the gap to the leader. And the Sauber is on a charge late on in this race. The question is, does he have enough laps to rock up to the back of Mikey GTI? And then, does he have enough laps to overtake? Because gaining on a car and overtaking a car are 2 very, very different things. Billy Mewis still on the back of Melun, and they might benefit from some DRS from the back marker of Ollie Southall, unless they manage to get through before the final corner. It is Ollie Southall who's the back marker, and Melun is, I believe, going to get some DRS, or is that the DRS line there? I'm not 100% sure. And he isn't going to get it, so Billy Mewis will definitely have a chance to try and get back past, and as easy as you like, take second place back once more. Now we know the gap was about 3.6 when we checked last lap. It is now 5. Oh, am I being silly, or has Mikey lost time? I'm not 100% sure. He seems to be gaining on the battle between Melun and Billy Mewis, but it looks like Mikey GTI might just be pushing away a little bit from that battle and using some of the extra pace on those hard compound tyres. Mikey 1.5 seconds off of the battle for second place now. And then there's about a 3-second gap to the Haas of Mikey GTI. Harry and Hum and Matt Connor still scrapping away here for 7th. Harry doing a great job on the hard compound tyres to defend from Hum on the mediums and Matt Connor on the softs. He's creating his own little train here, is Harry. We'll go on board with Hum through the DRS zone. Is there going to be enough of a straight to try and gain on Harry? He is most certainly gaining on the V-Carb driver. Harry doesn't really put up a fight, but the switchback, a lovely move from Harry up into 7th place. Beautiful move from the V-Carb driver, and while it might not have been the smartest thing to do because the Mercedes driver will now get DRS again, you can definitely add that one to your highlight reel. And while we were watching that, Mikey Boy has now gained on Melun and Billy Mewis, but that gap all the while is growing between Billy and Mikey GTI. So F1 Mikey Boy 95 has it all to do if he wants to try and gain on the leader of this Grand Prix. 4 laps to go of this Spanish Grand Prix. His first target will be Meloun in the Haas. He's looking to the inside now of the DRS zone, braking very, very late, the pair of them, and running wide is the Haas driver. Mikey Boy moves up into the podium places. His next target now will be Billy Mewis, and Ollie Southall, the lapped car, is still well within that fight, and that might be giving Billy Mewis DRS. It is. So the Haas driver not the Haas driver, sorry, the Williams driver, inadvertently helping Billy Mewis keep second place. And admittedly, not what you want to see, but it is what we are seeing here tonight. Ollie Southall and Billy Mewis basically on the exact same pace here. Meloun is just falling off the back of that battle. 18 laps he's had on those tyres. We've got a yellow flag, I believe, for a Williams in the middle sector, although that might have been Durex, I believe that was. He's battling away there with our Jamsey. That is the battle for 13th place. Harry somehow is still ahead of this 3-car battle, and you'd imagine Matt Connor's tyres will be just dying out a little bit. Hum is beginning to gain. Harry is doing a great job defending from these two. Andy Price is just slimming the gap down between himself and I Have No Grip. And again, Ollie Southall is really helping Billy Mewis here, but Mikey Boy with the ERS advantage, but crucially, they are not gaining on the leader. Mikey Boy is gaining on Billy Mewis though, and to the inside he goes. And the comeback is 1 position away from being completed. Mikey Boy moves himself up into second position. And you would have to assume that Ollie Southall has crazy amounts of penalties. He doesn't. He only has 3. But you'd imagine he is not giving up to blue flags. And I would imagine this will be looked at by the stewards after the race. Or at least I should hope it will. Because he is most certainly not abiding by blue flag rules. And is, in fact, somewhat influencing the battle for the win. Lap 31 of 33. And it is a 3.3 second gap between the two Mikeys in the battle for the lead of this Grand Prix. Meloun has really fallen off of the battle for the podium since Mikey Boy arrived. But a good drive from the Haas driver, especially with 19 laps on those hard compound tyres. But the gap out in front just doesn't look like it's closing enough. And Mikey GTI now starts the penultimate lap. And maybe the visions of being a Formula 1 winner are coming to life. He finished on the podium last week in Austria. And this week he is looking to go one better. It was 3rd for him in the Styrian Mountains. And he solidified himself as a driver that needed to be watched. Himself and Billy Mewis are the 2 drivers that are going to be up there. Brad Gibbs and Nova Piper are currently 1-2 in the standings, but did not turn up tonight. So it is then Mikey GTI, Billy Mewis and Meloun. And they are currently running 1st, 3rd and 4th. Mikey Boy did not turn up. Oh no, he did turn up, sorry. Scored 2 points last week in Austria. And is looking to bounce back massively with a 2nd place. But for Mikey GTI, this will be dreamland as we move on to the final lap of this Grand Prix. And the Haas driver just has a few kilometres to go to call himself a Formula 1 race winner. Haas, the American outfit, putting a lot into this event. And you can see why they chose Mikey as their driver. And Meloun as well, who has had a brilliant race up until this point. He is just losing a little bit of time to I Have No Grip now. Harry and Hum still battling away. Matt Connor, has just fallen off of this battle. But Harry is gaining, and he will know that this is really his last chance to try and get past Hum to make sure that he can finish in 7th place. To the inside he goes. It's a late move from the V-Carb, but a calculated move and a beautiful send down the inside, and Harry's up into 7th. But for Mikey GTI, he was 3rd last week in the Styrian Mountains. Mikey boy has started to put the pressure on, but it was too little, too late from the Sauber. And Mikey GTI will finally be able to call himself a Formula 1 winner. As he comes round the final couple of corners now, it has been a thrilling Spanish Grand Prix, but there can be one winner in Catalonia, and it is Mikey GTI who wins the Spanish Grand Prix. It is F1 Mikey boy who finishes in 2nd, and Billy Mewis from McLaren finishes in 3rd, taking the final podium position. It is then Meloon who finishes in 4th. I Have No Grip in 5th. Andy Price in 6th. Hum and Harry still battling away. Hum's penalty will demote him. Harry with a good drive from the middle of the pack. We'll see him finish in 7th with Hum in 8th. Matt Connor in 9th position. Sidemen in 10th. Dinosaur 11th. Our Jamsey 12th. Durex in 13th. MCL 14th. Mr. Jabe in 15th. Ligers 16th. Hash in 17th. And Ollie Southall cruising across the line for 18th place. But for Mikey GTI, it is the dream weekend. Pole to win. And the Haas driver will celebrate on the top step of the podium for the first time ever as a Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. Congratulations to Haas and congratulations to Mikey GTI. A thoroughly deserved victory in sunny Spain this evening. And there is your confirmation then, ladies and gentlemen. It is Mikey GTI who wins the Spanish Grand Prix and for the first time ever is a Formula 1 race winner. It is then Mikey boy in 2nd place, from Billy Mewis taking the final podium position. Meloon in 4th with I Have No Grip in 5th. Andy Price in 6th. Harry with a drive up 7 positions from 14th to 7th. It is then Hum who finishes in 8th place. Matt Connor in 9th, completing a Ferrari 9 and 10 as Sidemen takes the final points-paying position. Durex in 11th with Dinosaur in 12th. Jamsey 13th, MCL 14th, Ligers 15th, Mr. Jabe 16th, Hash 17th, Ollie Southall 18th, with Meldrum the only man to fail to reach the flag. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We will be back tomorrow for the Wednesday Super League. If you are interested, drop a follow on TikTok, drop a follow on Twitch, the only 2 places that you can watch NRRL live. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.